management worked on a belt system like martial arts, what belt would you be? So I was thinking about the journey of a new manager. And what I see often is people are trying to go from doer to leader in one jump as if they're going to upgrade all of those different skills. And maybe think about the journey of martial arts. As martial arts have been westernized, they've developed a belt system, so it's split into discrete steps. So maybe you learn to punch, then you learn to kick, then you learn to block, then you learn to do throws. You're building more complex skills on the basics, but you're getting the time to master the basics to start with. That's how we learn. If you think about a baby, they start to move their arms and legs, and then eventually they start to crawl, and then they start to try and walk, and then they run, and then they run a jump, and then they're leaping. It's all developed from that basic movement. It's grown organically. As they develop more confidence, they develop more complex maneuvers. If we were going to take the same principle and use a belt system for managers, what would it look like? If I was going in a new, these are the 6 belts that I would look at. As a white belt, your key task is clarity, that you want to know what the journey is like ahead. This is what I call the apprentice phase. You're a new manager, you're walking into a role and it's like there's all this fog and you can't see everything. So you just want to take a little moment to let the fog clear, get the lay of the land before you start trying to make changes. The big mistake new managers make is trying to jump in and take their ideas like, I've got this great strategy and it's going to make all the difference. They haven't brought people with them. They haven't developed the communication, the relationships. So they put in ideas before their team are ready to act on them. It's assuming that because you've got a role and you've got positional authority, that the team give you relational and moral authority and the team are automatically going to follow and do what you say. The third mistake is not listening to their team. When you're new and you're taking a step up, it's overwhelming because you've got so many more things that you need to pay attention to. And if you don't listen to people, you're going to walk into see a mistake. They're going to embarrass you. They're going to set your team back and you're going to set yourself back. Once you've taken the time to let the fog clear, you've got the lay of the land and you've got some clarity on what you're going to do. The next step is time to graduate to yellow belt. Yellow belt is all about communication. You want to get people talking. Communication is like proprioception. So proprioception is the awareness of where you are in relation to what's around you. People who have poor spatial awareness tend to walk into walls. They stumble over things and walk into things. And it's because they don't have that awareness of where they are in relation to everything else. A team without good communication doesn't have that awareness of where everyone is. If you imagine it's a sports team and they're going to pass the ball, if someone isn't where they think they are, without that awareness, it's where the ball gets dropped. Your role here is more like a mediator. So you want people talking so you can get to know them. You want to get to know the realities, the challenges and the situation that you're in. The mistakes new managers make are they talk to certain people. There's some people who are easier to get along with, easier to work with. They talk to them and they avoid the people and make them feel uncomfortable. They also avoid difficult conversations. They let things slide. They don't approach subjects that need to be dealt with but maybe are awkward and make them feel uncomfortable because they haven't got the confidence. Another mistake is they'll isolate themselves. They'll avoid communication. So once you get people talking, you're ready to move on to the next belt. Green belt is all about getting confidence. It's building mutual trust, respect, and authority. What you're doing here is you're facilitating the environment so people feel safe, so people open up, so people trust. And so it's all about you feeling confident to lead and your team feeling confident in following you. It is really about walking on solid ground. A lot of people who haven't built the relationships, haven't built communication, haven't built the right environment, they're walking on a tightrope. At any moment, it's like a house of cards where at any moment things can just start to fall down. The mistakes new managers make at this level are building one-to-one relationships. Maybe they're not feeling confident enough to step out and develop that group relationship. And because some people are easier to so they try to talk to people one-to-one. And it's about an insecurity or not being comfortable in their own skin. But what we have to do is go from the one-to-one relationships to the group relationship. When you're an individual in a team, you can have those one-to-one relationships. But when you lead the team, you have to create a group relationship. It's the basic premise on which the team is going to be built on. Another mistake is not being authentic. When someone's not comfortable in their own skin, they feel that they have to play a role. They've seen other managers and they feel they have to be like them rather than being themselves. Now we've developed some competence. We've developed good relationships. We've started to develop a culture. Blue Belt is all about commitment. It's bonding the team in shared purpose. And the role here is to be a unifier. As a unifier, you want to create an operating culture the team's going to work within. The key to this step is much like the marshmallow principle. You've probably heard of the experiment where they take children and they say you can have one marshmallow, or if you can leave it there without eating it for 2 minutes, you can get 2 marshmallows. It's the principle of delayed gratification. In a team is a group of individuals, and each individual has their own goals, their own self-interest. The key to knitting a team together is for them to buy into an identity as part of the team that's greater than anything that they could achieve on their own. It's creating that vision, that culture, that frame, and ultimately that identity so that their interest is completely aligned with the team, because the team is the greatest sense of self of them. The mistake managers make here is assuming that the organization's goal is the same as the individual's or the team goal. To increase profit by 5% or decrease costs by 20% is not going to motivate anyone. Everyone is there in the team for their own goal. And your role as a unifier is to understand the individual goal and create this frame, this agreement, so that they can achieve their individual goals by achieving the team goal. Another mistake is not understanding what's driving your team. What's the currency, the motivations that are driving them individually? Another mistake is imposing a goal. The key to being a unifier is to articulate a vision that is greater than anyone can achieve on their own, and everyone wants to achieve. Okay, so now we're really getting going and we're moving on to Red Belt. Red Belt is all about congruence. You've got the commitment, you've got the shared agreement, you've got the shared set of values and principles and operating frame. Now you're becoming the manager. Now you're holding the team accountable to agreed standards. Those standards are about what's the performance we expect, what are the values that we uphold, and what's the way that we go about doing it. The biggest mistake here is a lack of clarity of what is expected. What do we expect? What does it mean to be part of your team? How do we do things around here? The big mistake is a lack of clarity of what the standards are, not clearly defining what standard we expect, standard of performance, standard of behavior, standard of character, standard of attitude, standard of who we are and what we stand for. Another mistake managers make is not making a stand. A common management dilemma is your best performer disrupts the team. Many managers will allow that disruption because, well, look at their numbers, look at their performance. But what you're doing is you're sacrificing the environment, the culture, the ecosystem for short-term results. Another mistake is not giving clear and continuous feedback. When something happens, you can't just leave it slide and let it go for months. It has to be dealt with. The manager's role is to be on top of things, to keep everyone together so that the team operates as a congruent unit. Often reaching Red Belt is all that many managers will need. But if you're ambitious and you want to go to the next step, Black Belt is really about moving into leadership. As a leader, you're about growing capacity. So you're growing yourself in your leadership ability, growing your people in their ability, and growing the team as a whole to be more effective. So what you're doing is you're developing capacity, you're removing frictions, you're finding new solutions so that you can improve people, processes, and performance. In martial arts, Black Belt is not the pinnacle. Black Belt is where you're now competent and now you're able to develop your own style, and to advance and keep developing means that you've met the fundamentals. This is where the journey to mastery begins.